What's up guys, Everything Apple Pro here, and this is the battle of the epics. In this video I'm going to be comparing the all-new iPhone 6s to Samsung's most beautiful smartphone, the S6 Edge. Now whether you already have one of these and are trying to decide whether to go over to the other side or you're trying to choose between these, in this video I'm going to be talking about everything from specs to features to comparing cameras and power and graphical power and everything you need to know when deciding between these phones. These are truly two of the greatest phones out on the market right now, and it's really going to be a tough choice choosing between them. The Galaxy S6 Edge was a huge success for Samsung, and I'm curious to see whether or not the iPhone 6s finally catches up and competes. So let's begin with usability. So the iPhone 6s has become more comfortable to hold on to now. There's a new texture on the back making it not so slippery, and the display is a perfect size. You can reach almost all areas of the display with one finger. Reachability of course does help, so it's a very comfortable phone. The Galaxy S6 Edge is also very comfortable. It's a little bit wider and the border gives you something to grab onto. However, it is a little slippery compared to the iPhone 6s, so definitely keep a case on this guy. Both of these handsets feel absolutely premium. Samsung definitely caught up, way back in the day they used to use so much plastic. And both of these devices are roughly the same size. The iPhone 6s slightly smaller, however it is thicker and heavier. Galaxy S6 Edge, although it does feature a larger display, it's not that much bigger than the iPhone 6s. Now when it comes to displays, these phones couldn't be further apart. They're using a completely different display technology, Super AMOLED versus LCD, and this is one area I wish Apple would copy Samsung on. I mean, the OLED display is so gorgeous, and not to mention how sharp it is. Samsung managed to fit so many pixels into such a small display while maintaining battery life. Now Super AMOLED displays pretty much have amazing dark colors because they don't have a backlight. Just take a look at the darker areas of these photos. You'll notice that the vibrance and the colors in general on the S6 Edge are so much better. Probably the best display on a smartphone, period. Both of these phones do have unique screen technology. Of course, the S6 Edge has that curved display, which, did I mention, is very beautiful. Whether or not it's very useful for you, I don't know, that's debatable, but it's really cool to have it on a nightstand. It'll show you just the display because OLED displays actually can just light up a piece of the screen without needing to light up the entire thing. That's really cool alone, but it is really cool. I mean, it makes for great visuals. It looks like a little waterfall is going off the edge of your display when you swipe through photos and pages, so I thought that's cool. But the 3D touch actually brings a lot of functionality to your device. Sure, the Edge display has people and contacts and quick shortcuts, but on the 3D touch, you can actually save a lot of time while adding new functionality to your device. So you can actually shortcut into a certain area of an application without having to go inside of it and then manually selecting it. So it'll just boot you right into that area on the app. So how's the durability? Well, these two are the survivors after being run over by a car twice and being dropped repeatedly. I mean, both are incredibly durable. The Galaxy S6 Edge uses a Corning Gorilla Glass 4, iPhone 6s uses a dual ion exchange glass. So both are extremely durable. Of course, take care of them, don't drop them often, but they will survive your occasional waist height or head height fall. So this is the test I've been waiting forever to perform, the Geekbench and a graphical performance benchmark. So what I saw completely blew me away. I mean, the iPhone 6 wasn't too far behind, but now the 6s completely blows the Samsung Galaxy S6 out of the water. Are you curious to see what it is? Well, here it is. Only a dual core, yet it completely demolishes the Galaxy S6 in both single core and multi-core scores. That's just incredible. Again, reinforcing the point that iPhones don't need crazy amount of specs. They just need a well-optimized software. And if you guys don't believe me, you think I ran it wrong, well, I ran it again and again, and every single time the result was conclusive. The iPhone 6s outperforms the Samsung Galaxy S6, even though it has a dual core processor compared to an octa-core processor with clock speeds up to 2.1 gigahertz. The Galaxy S6 also has 3 gigabytes of RAM, whereas the iPhone 6s has just 2. Next, I ran GFX Bench 3.1. Graphical power is very important. A lot of us do games or intensive applications on our phone, and it's good to have a powerful GPU. Now, even the iPhone 6 GPU was more powerful than the S6. Can you imagine the 6s? We'll take a look at this chart. These are the results, and in most areas the iPhone 6s was 3 to 5 times more powerful than the Galaxy S6. Well, why is that? The Galaxy S6 Edge has a lot more pixels to push than the iPhone 6s. Just look at the comparison, guys. 3 to 5 times more powerful in most areas. That's really going to reflect in gaming, video editing, really intensive applications. Now the wireless internals of the 6S have received an upgrade, so you're going to see a lot faster Wi-Fi speeds, although no router is going to reach that yet. There are more LTE bands, making the iPhone 6S a better international phone, and there's Bluetooth 4.2, which is a more reliable, more energy efficient version of Bluetooth. And I was surprised to find that the Chrome standard browser on the S6 actually had a higher HTML5 compatibility score. The iPhone 6S has a considerably smaller battery, yet in some areas it does outperform the Galaxy S6. Both batteries, of course, are non-removable, but you should be able to get a full day of usage out of both devices. The S6 Edge, however, has a clear advantage here, as it does have fast charging, wireless charging, and an ultra power saving mode, which saves even more battery life than low power mode on the iPhone. And there are a couple other things I wanted to mention. So the iPhone 6S has a haptic engine. It's far superior than just a standard vibration motor found in the S6, which means they'll have a much better response when using 3D touch, whereas the S6 Edge, however, has haptic feedback on the keyboard. The second generation Touch ID found on the 6S is considerably faster than the fingerprint sensor on the Galaxy S6. So if you do a lot of locking, unlocking, you'll save a lot of time using the iPhone's Touch ID sensor. Now, because it's important to me, I decided to test out the speaker loudness on both of these devices, and the iPhone 6S was just a mere fraction louder than the S6. So both are about equally the same. There's not much of a difference here. However, the iPhone 6S has a little bit of a deeper tone to it, whereas the S6 is a little tinny. Now, as we get into cameras, I do want to say that the Galaxy S6 Edge has a fantastic camera, and it's going to be a really close call here. In terms of actual numbers, the S6 Edge actually outperforms the iPhone 6S, as it has a 16 megapixel rating with a lower aperture, meaning it does let in more light, and low light video should look better. But the iPhone 6S has a far superior slow motion capability. Now, in terms of features, it's going to be a really close call here. The S6 Edge has optical image stabilization, which helps with video, whereas the iPhone 6S has True Tone flash on the front and rear. And I gotta tell you, it's quite cool. Your entire front display now flashes in different colors to match your setting. And of course, we have it in the rear as well, and it really does help you get a perfect color at night. So you want to change your resolution, huh? Well, you have an S6, just go over here and change it from within the camera setup menu. However, if you have an iPhone, let me take you on a trip. Quickly exit, go to settings, scroll down to photos and camera, go into the tab for the type of video you're going to be recording, whether it's slow motion or regular video, and then go ahead and select what you want to change the resolution to. What a pain. Why couldn't have Apple just placed it into the camera application? So the actual camera quality, wow, that's a really, really tough one. Both have spectacular cameras. I was just blown away by both of these. The iPhone 6S made a definite improvement over the iPhone 6, but can it touch the Galaxy S6? The Galaxy S6 colors are so vibrant in most cases. However, the one area that I've noticed that it doesn't do as well in is in low light, and I'll get to that in just a second, but overall, both are great. Both have very beautiful colors in them. And I've noticed that the Galaxy S6 Edge is a little bit more stable if recording while walking. Optical image stabilization doesn't help much for video, but I've noticed that the video is a little bit more steady on the Galaxy S6 Edge if your hands shake while recording or if you're actually moving while recording. So these are all taken in the same environments on auto. I've noticed that the S6 in lower light conditions has a lot of noise, but when provided with a lot of light will reproduce very beautiful images, very vibrant and colorful, and a lot of light in them. So definitely fantastic quality for both. The S6 might take a slight advantage in actual daylight conditions. When it comes to front-facing cameras, the S6 Edge has a slightly higher resolution, whereas the iPhone 6S has more features. True Tone Flash really is a game changer, and I thought it was a really great addition to the 6S camera. And tying into the cameras, there's a new feature called Live Photos, which brings your photos to life. It takes a few seconds before and after the picture, and it saves it with some audio, and it's only double the storage of a regular photo. I thought it was a really neat feature that the S6 Edge is missing. Now, the pricing isn't too far off for these guys. The S6 Edge is generally going to be a little bit cheaper now because it's already out for over half a year. The 6S is the newest and greatest thing, so you of course are going to be paying more, but sizing is where the Galaxy S6 Edge has an advantage. 32 gigabytes of base storage really helps because on the iPhone 6S you have so much that takes up more memory, and it really makes sense to have at least 64 gigabytes. So let's talk exclusives. Both of these have some unique features that would make some other people want to switch to them more than others. So take a look at these features and just ask yourself, what would you need more in a phone? I mean, the Galaxy S6 Edge is such an amazing phone, but it's amazing in a different way than the iPhone 6s. So depending on what is more important for you out of a phone, just take a look at this list and decide for yourselves. And again, just take a look at the iPhone 6s. It also has a lot of unique things and areas that it excels at versus the Galaxy S6. So take a look at what you would need most out of a smartphone in this list. I know everybody has different things that they look out for, so I can't really tell you which phone would be better for you. That's a choice you have to make depending on your needs. So I gotta give credit where it's due. Both of these phones are very impressive. Both are incredibly fast and have fantastic cameras. Although the Samsung Galaxy...
There, Saki here from Saki Tech. In today's video, we will do a full comparison between the iPhone 6s Plus versus the Samsung Galaxy Note 5, two of the most popular phablets on the market right now. A lot of people are asking questions like, which one is better, or shall I get the 6s Plus or the Note 5, or shall I switch from one to the other? And in this video, we will tackle those questions directly. Now, just to give you a perspective, the Note 5 was released in August 2015, and a month later, on September 2015, the iPhone 6s Plus surfaced. So let's dive in and do a comprehensive comparison and see if we can choose a winner or perhaps see if we have a draw. Let's start off with the build and design. Now, first of all, let's clear one thing. Both of these phones have a premium build quality and a gorgeous design. Now let's take a look at each in succession. The iPhone 6s is crafted using aircraft grade 7000 aluminum series, which is packed in a gorgeous unibody design. It's a sleek and seamless design with a continuous form factor. On the other hand, the Samsung Galaxy Note 5 is crafted out of metal and glass. The frame surrounding the edges of the device is all magnesium alloy, whereas the front and back panel of the device are built using Corning Gorilla Glass 4, which is one tough piece of glass with best-in-class durability. There is no question that whether you hold the Note 5 or the iPhone 6s Plus in your hands, you get a solid sensation of holding a premium device with a magnificent build quality. Now, neither aluminum or glass offers any grip, so you'll be constantly scared that these phones could just glide out of your hands and shatter to 1,000 pieces. Therefore, I highly recommend some sort of case or a protective sleeve. Some case suggestions are below in the description. Now, which one is the winner? I personally prefer the design of the Note 5, and that is a subjective choice. Therefore, the choice of design preference will be based on your own subjective desires. So that means, in this department, you get to pick your own personal winner. Do drop a comment below stating your preference. Now let's move on to the processor, memory, and storage options. So the Note 5 comes with an Exynos 7420 octa-core processor. Octa stands for 8. So we have 8 total processing cores. 4 of these cores are clocked at 2.1 GHz and the other 4 are clocked at 1.5 GHz. We get 4 GB of RAM, and the base model of the Note 5 starts at 32 GB of storage, but you can upgrade to 64 GB for a max. Now the iPhone 6s Plus comes with the new Apple A9 chip, which is a 64-bit dual-core chip clocked at 1.8 GHz. We get 2 GB of RAM, and the base model of the iPhone 6s Plus starts at 16 GB of storage, but you can upgrade to 64 gigs or even 128 gigs based on your storage needs. Now these are both flagship devices and offer lots of power. So towards the end of this video, I will do a processor and memory benchmark to see which one produces more processing power. For now, however, let's move on to the screen size and resolution. The iPhone 6s Plus comes with a 5.5-inch IPS LCD screen with 1920 by 1080 pixels of resolution, which brings the pixels per inches to 401. The Note 5 has a 5.7-inch Super AMOLED screen with a Quad HD display, which is 1440 by 2560 pixels with 518 pixels per inches. Now, due to the higher resolution and higher PPI, the text, images, and videos will be crisper and sharper on the Note 5, especially when you're dealing with high-resolution media such as photos and videos. It should be made clear that the iPhone 6s Plus display is still a world-class display with rich, accurate, vibrant colors and deep contrast. But the Note 5, in addition to having those properties, also has observably better crispness and sharpness that becomes possible due to its Quad HD resolution. The win goes directly to the Note 5, but you're welcome to challenge that in the comments below. That being said, I wouldn't let the screen all by itself decide the better phone. Remember, the iPhone 6s Plus still has a gorgeous display, but the Note 5 is simply better. Let's move on to the dimensions and weight. Alright, so the iPhone 6s Plus is 158.2 millimeters in height. It is 77.9 millimeters wide and only 7.3 millimeters thick and weighs 192 grams. On the other hand, the Note 5 measures 153.2 millimeters in height, 76.1 millimeters wide, and 7.6 millimeters thick. It only weighs 171 grams. A simple look at the numbers shows you that the Note 5 has more favorable numbers. However, the 6s Plus is in fact thinner while the Note 5 is lighter. Is this a big deal? Not at all. This is just another category that shouldn't make a huge difference in making a buying choice. Let's move on to the software. Now this is a huge category and it does matter. So let's go into some healthy amount of detail. The Note 5 comes with the latest version of Android running the Samsung TouchWiz overlay, whereas the iPhone 6s Plus comes with the latest version of iOS. The difference between Android and iOS can be divided into 3 categories in relation to these two phones. Number 1, customization capabilities. This is a field where the Note 5 will take the win because you can fully customize this phone and personalize it to fit your personal sense of style. You can add some spice to your home screens using live widgets such as calendars, clocks, weather, news feeds, and also create color-themed folders. You can even download and install custom themes from a theme market and your phone will look like a different device altogether. Unfortunately, none of this is possible on the iPhone. All you can do is change the wallpaper for the lock and the home screens and you get a static grid of app icons on each home screen with the ability to create folders. Number 2, app ecosystem. Now, although both the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store have millions of apps available for download, the quality of apps and games that come from the Apple App Store is simply better. But let's just be clear. Of course, Google Play Store has some really amazing apps and games, but when you compare the quality ratio, Apple App Store wins by having a higher number of quality apps and games, period. Therefore, if you're an app-only person that isn't concerned about customization features, and if you're an avid mobile gamer, then the iPhone will be a better choice. Number 3. Now, this is a newly forged category because it has to do with new features that were not present on iPhones before the 6s lineup, namely the 3D Touch. I'm going to pit 3D Touch against the S Pen, not to compare, but to show you the highlights in these two unique phone-specific features. So the S Pen is a unique tool devised for the Note 5 that allows you to transform your cell phone into a precise note-taking and sketching device. This isn't just some stylus, it's an actual pen with an incredibly sensitive tip which, if you wanted to, could be used to draw a masterpiece, as long as you have the patience for it. So that's what the S Pen gets you, and it is a critical feature in the Note 5. As for 3D Touch, what you get is a pressure-sensitive screen that can sense how firmly you are pressing on the screen. Based on the force with which you press, it will offer you two basic functions, peek and pop. You press lightly to peek into content to get previews, and you press firmly to pop into the full content that you just previewed. Now you can do much more than what I just told you. I will leave some links in the description with links to videos that cover the S Pen and the 3D Touch, so go check those if you want to learn more. Unfortunately, it would take forever to cover the full details in this video, so make sure to check those videos out for more exciting details on the S Pen and the 3D Touch. And finally, I'm also going to throw in the fact that the Note 5 does allow you to do split screen multitasking, which means you can have two apps running side by side at the same time, which is a great software tool that the iPhone 6s Plus lacks. Let's move on to another major feature, the camera. The cameras on both these phones are absolutely fantastic. The Samsung Galaxy Note 5 comes with a 16 megapixel sensor with an aperture of f1.9 on the rear, whereas the iPhone 6s Plus comes with a 12 megapixel sensor with an aperture of f2.2. Both cameras feature optical image stabilization, which allows for superb low light performance. As far as picture quality goes, you will get phenomenal quality with either phone, and there really is no need to sit down and scientifically analyze each little pixel, because the final results that get snapped look gorgeous on both phones with accurate colors, rich, sharp, and crispy details. As for video recording, both the 6s Plus and the Note 5 can record 4K video at 30 frames per second and 1080p at either 30 or 60 frames per second. We also have some slow motion capabilities. With the 6s Plus, you can do 240 frames per second at 720p, as well as a new mode where you can do 1080p at 120 frames per second, which is amazing. Note 5 only allows for slow motion at 720p at 120 frames per second. We also have front-facing cameras at 5 megapixels on both the 6s Plus and the Note 5, so expect similar quality on each. And finally, the iPhone 6s Plus will offer a new concept called Live Photos. This option is enabled by default when you launch the camera app, and all you have to do is take a photo as usual by tapping the shutter. What is going to happen is the camera will capture 1.5 seconds before and after the photo, which will transform the regular photo into a live photo that is going to include motion and sound. Whether or not live photos makes the iPhone camera better is up for debate. I personally don't care too much about the feature, even though I'm sure I will be playing around with it. However, to some people it may appear magical and very interesting. Again, I'm content with a camera that takes high quality pictures, and both the 6s and the Note 5 do that, and therefore you can't really go wrong with either. And that's it for the camera. Let's move on to the battery. Samsung Galaxy Note 5 has a battery capacity of 3000 mAh, whereas the iPhone 6s Plus has a battery capacity of 2715 mAh. Both these phones have non-removable batteries that will last you a full day of use with medium to heavy use, by which I mean a healthy mixture of texting, browsing the web, talking on the phone, listening to music, and perhaps an hour or two of video watching and gaming. Now, if you do mad gaming like 4 to 5 hours a day and watch a lot of videos, of course the battery is not going to last. Now, there are times when you will have little battery life left and there will be no charger within range. And this is when you will utilize the low power mode on the iPhone 6s Plus and the ultra power savings mode on the Note 5. Both these options will allow you to extend battery life until you find a charger. The low power mode shuts off background data, underclocks the processor, and kills some visual effects to save battery, while the ultra power savings mode simply transforms the Note 5 into a bare bone device. The screen goes black and white, and the Note 5 turns into a basic texting and calling device. You won't be able to watch videos or play games at all. Ultra power savings mode is a pretty advanced feature and extends the battery life longer than the low power mode on the iPhone 6s Plus. Also, a feature that the iPhone lacks is wireless charging. Note 5 allows for wireless charging, and it even offers a fast wireless charging which can fully charge your Note 5 in 2 hours, which is fantastic. No cables, no clutter, and fast wireless charging. Now let's move on to the various color options. Both phones can be acquired in 4 different colors. The iPhone 6s Plus can be purchased in silver, gold, space gray, or rose gold. Options on the Note 5 include silver, gold, black, and white. Next up, the fingerprint sensor. Now, not much to say here other than the fact that both of these phones have a fingerprint sensor and they both work flawlessly and quickly. iPhone is slightly faster to recognize and unlock your phone using your fingerprint, perhaps by a few microseconds, but the success rate for both these smartphones is almost 100%, which is what we want. So let's move on to the benchmarks. Let's see which one of these phones will produce more power. We will be using the Geekbench benchmarking tool to measure performance. Geekbench uses real-life scenarios to stress test cross-platform devices. So the results do give you a good idea of overall output in power, So let's dive in and see which one is the winner. So as you guys saw, I cleared all the background processes and I launched Geekbench on each device and I ran the program. So let's fast forward to the end and see which phone is faster. So there we have it. The single core performance on the Samsung Galaxy Note 5 is 1483, which is less than the iPhone 6s Plus, which is 2497. So there is a significant difference in the single core performance. But the multi-core performance, the Note 5 beats the iPhone 6s Plus. You get 4653 on the Note 5 and 4382 on the 6s Plus. Now do remember the iPhone 6s Plus only has 2 cores, so we do have very powerful cores even though there are only 2 of them. Overall, I would say that these phones are pretty damn fast. And finally, the conclusion. So what is it? What is the conclusion? We have in our hands 2 rock-solid phones with beautiful design, powerful processors, best-in-class cameras, and unique features such as the S Pen for the Note 5 and the 3D Touch for the iPhone 6s Plus. So how do you make a choice on which one to buy? Now, first of all, if you're an Apple person, I think you should stick with Apple. However, if you have been feeling rather bored and enticed by the customization and personalization abilities of Android phones, then the Note 5 is simply the best Android phone you can choose to switch to, especially since you also get that beautiful Quad HD display and the S Pen functionality. On the other hand, if you're an Android guy and have been enticed by the 3D Touch as well as the rock-solid app ecosystem that Apple offers, I'd give it a try. The 6s Plus obviously is the most powerful and feature-packed iPhone to date, and it would be the perfect phone to switch to from Android to get a full taste of Apple. But that's all I can tell you. I'm neutral in this war between the Note 5 and the iPhone 6s Plus, as I can see myself using either one of these phones at a given time as a primary cell phone. Just remember this: if you're an Apple person, stick with Apple. If you're an Android person, stick with Android. However, if you're on the fence about switching from Apple to Android, Note 5 is the best thing you can switch to get a full blunt force of Android prowess. Similarly, if you currently sport an Android phone and looking for a change, iPhone 6s Plus will give you a full dose of what Apple offers. If you do not have any allegiances to either brand and are truly at a loss on which one to choose, then watch the video again and try writing down the features you like most and go with the phone that meets your needs. And that's it. Make sure to drop your comments, opinions, and questions below, and make sure to hit that thumbs up button as well as subscribe to Saki Tech for more videos to come. As always, follow me on Twitter and Facebook for updates, and have a great day.